My husband and I were sitting in the genetic counselor's office, trying to understand why our daughter kept having miscarriages. "There's something unusual in your DNA," the counselor said, looking at the results. "You share significantly more DNA than a typical married couple." "What does that mean?" I asked. She looked uncomfortable. "It means you're related, closely related. Based on the amount of shared DNA, you're first cousins." The room went silent. My husband grabbed my hand. "That's impossible. We didn't meet until college." "Nevertheless," the counselor said gently, "the DNA doesn't lie. You share 12.5% of your genetic material. That's consistent with a first cousin relationship." We'd been married for 23 years. And we were cousins. My name is Jennifer Clark. My husband's name is Mark Clark. Yes, we have the same last name. We always joked about that. We met at the University of Michigan in 1996. I was a freshman from Ohio. He was a sophomore from California. We met at a campus coffee shop, started dating, fell in love. We compared our backgrounds during those early conversations, like all couples do. "Where are you from?" "Cleveland, Ohio. You?" "Los Angeles? Grew up in the Valley?" "Any siblings?" "One brother. You?" "Only child?" "What do your parents do?" "My dad's an accountant. Mom's a teacher. Yours?" "Dad was a mechanic. He died when I was 10. Mom raised me alone." Our families were from opposite sides of the country, different states, different lives, no obvious connections. We got married in 1999, right after Mark graduated, had our first child, Emily, in 2001, our son Daniel in 2004. We were happy, normal, a regular family. In 2019, Emily got married. In 2021, she got pregnant. We were thrilled to become grandparents. But Emily miscarried at 12 weeks. Then she got pregnant again, miscarried at 10 weeks. Then a third time, miscarried at 8 weeks. Her doctor recommended genetic testing for her and her husband. Sometimes recurrent miscarriages are caused by genetic factors. Let's rule that out. Emily and her husband tested normal. No genetic issues. But just to be thorough, the doctor said, we'd like to test the grandparents too. Sometimes genetic factors skip a generation or come from unusual combinations. So Mark and I took DNA tests. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. "Mr. and Mrs. Clark, can you both come in? We need to discuss your results." We went together, thinking it was routine. Maybe they'd found something about Emily's miscarriages, something we could fix. Instead, they told us we were cousins. "That's impossible," Mark said. "We're not related." "The DNA shows otherwise. You share 12.5% of your genetic material. That's consistent with first cousins. Could be half first cousins in some cases, but the amount suggests first cousins. We're from different states, different families." The counselor pulled up our DNA matches on Ancestry and 23andMe. "Look at your matches. You share multiple relatives, including several second cousins and one set of great aunts and uncles on both sides." I looked at the names. Martinez, Lopez, Gonzalez. "These are my relatives," I said slowly. "These are my relatives," Mark said at the same time. We looked at each other in horror. We hired a genealogist to trace our family trees. It took her 6 weeks, but she found the connection. Mark's father, Robert Clark, wasn't actually Robert Clark. His birth name was Roberto Martinez. He'd changed his name in the 1960s. My mother's maiden name was Martinez. Her father was Antonio Martinez. Roberto Martinez and Antonio Martinez were brothers. Mark's dad and my grandfather were brothers, which made Mark's dad my great-uncle, which made Mark my first cousin once removed. Wait, no, let me explain it better. Mark's paternal grandfather, Juan Martinez, had 2 sons, Roberto, Mark's dad, and Antonio, my grandfather. Roberto had Mark. Antonio had my mother had me. So Mark and my mother were first cousins. And Mark and I were first cousins once removed. Actually, that's still wrong. The genetic counselor explained it better. The DNA showed we were first cousins, not first cousins once removed, which meant the generation gap we thought existed didn't exist. We had to dig deeper. Eventually, we found the truth. Mark's birth certificate was wrong. His father, Robert Roberto, wasn't his biological father. His biological father was Antonio Martinez, my grandfather. Roberto had raised Mark as his son, but Antonio was actually Mark's father, which made Mark and my mother half-siblings, which made Mark my uncle. I married my uncle. Once we knew what to look for, we found the evidence. Mark's mother had had an affair with Antonio Martinez in the late 1970s. She got pregnant. Her husband, Roberto, agreed to raise the baby as his own rather than divorce her and face the scandal. Antonio, my grandfather, never told anyone. Certainly never told my mother that she had a half-brother living in California. Antonio died in 1995. Roberto died in 2010. Mark's mother died in 2015. Everyone who knew the truth was dead. This explains so much, Mark said, looking at old photos. I never looked like my dad. Everyone always said I looked like Mom's side. But I have this dark hair, these features that no one could explain. You look like my grandfather, I whispered. I always thought that was weird, that my husband looked like old photos of Grandpa. I thought it was just coincidence. We called our children together, Emily and Daniel, both adults now. We need to tell you something about your genetics. Are we going to get cancer? Daniel asked immediately. No, nothing like that. It's about your dad and I are related. We didn't know. We only just found out. Related how? Emily asked. I'm your grandmother's half-brother, Mark said. Which makes me your mom's uncle, which makes your mom and I... We're uncle and niece. Both kids stared at us. So you're saying Grandma Martinez was your half-sister? Emily said slowly to Mark. Yes. And you married her daughter? Yes. That's so messed up. We didn't know. The genetic counselor explained that Emily's miscarriages were likely related to the close genetic relationship between Mark and me. When close relatives have children, there's an increased risk of recessive genetic disorders. Your children, Emily and Daniel, have a higher chance of carrying matched recessive genes. When Emily tries to have children with her husband, those genetic factors can lead to non-viable pregnancies. Can she ever have children? I asked. Possibly. With genetic screening and IVF, we can select embryos without the problematic genetic combinations. It's not guaranteed, but it's possible. Emily is pursuing that option now. It's expensive, it's complicated, but she wants to be a mother. As for Mark and me, we're still married, we're still in love. Finding out we're related doesn't change 23 years of marriage, doesn't change raising 2 kids together, doesn't change building a life. Is it weird? Yes. Do people judge us when we tell them? Absolutely. But we didn't know. We didn't choose this. We fell in love as strangers and discovered we were family after 2 decades of marriage. What are we supposed to do? Get divorced because of DNA? DNA testing has revealed a lot of family secrets in recent years, but ours is one of the strangest. We're not unique. There are other cases of adoptees or children of affairs who unknowingly married relatives. It happens more than you'd think. The genetic counselor told us that in small communities or communities where people change their names, immigrants, adoptees, etc., these situations occur occasionally. Modern DNA testing is catching them now. We're learning to live with this knowledge. Learning to joke about it sometimes. Learning to be honest about it with our family. Family is complicated. Love is complicated. DNA is just there. Have you discovered unexpected family connections through DNA testing? Have you found out you're related to someone you thought was a stranger? Share your story in the comments. Subscribe for more true stories about DNA discoveries, family secrets, and the complicated truth about genetics. New stories every week. Thanks for listening.